Hey folks, welcome back to Good Enough Customs. So we are back in the shop working on Steve. Yes, it's been a hot minute since I've done anything with Steve. I feel bad about it, but at the same time, the time I've taken off from working on Steve has been enjoyable. Not gonna lie. So to recap, I know I've recapped this multiple times, but we've got this little section of floor to cut out and get a patch panel put in there. I still have to clean this edge up and get this guy welded up. And then if you look down here, you can see I have a small gap just, right in this area, which is totally normal. So that's totally normal to have that small gap there because it's just got to attach up at the down at the floor and the support and the cab, all of it kind of sandwiches together. And you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Oh, let's see if we got a decent angle here. You can see what I'm talking about right here. Yeah, I've got, I've got a 1/2 inch gap here too. Or better. Huh. So that tells me that the cab definitely did spring because I've got the same gap on the passenger side. Yay, that's fun. So I've got to draw the bottom of the cab closer together. I was concerned that it had bowed the floor, maybe whenever I was bending it and twisting it and tweaking it, trying to get it into the truck. I was worried that I bowed the floor up a little bit like that and it just needed to come down. Nope, that's not the case. Pretty sure. I'm pretty confident now that the bottom of the cab has gone boink and has moved out by about 1 inch total because I'm about a 1/2 inch over on the passenger side, just like I am over here on the driver's side. So I guess what I need to do is get in there, get back behind it, cleaned up, ready for weld, and drill me some holes for spot welds. And honestly, I think what I'm going to end up doing is just taking a big ass ratchet strap and run it with the doors open, run it all the way around the truck, through both doors, around down as close to the front of the rockers as I can, and just crank her down. I think that's all I'm going to be able to do here. So hopefully I didn't mess stuff up too bad, but I am no professional. So I guess let's get started on that. Let me get I got to get the surfaces prepped behind the floor supports, which weld to the cab. I got to get those surfaces prepped, and then it'll be drill my holes and get those guys ready for welding, of course, once we get everything mashed together. So let me get on that, and we'll worry about that patch panel here in a little while. Y'all have already seen that anyways on the passenger side. It's the same exact process that I did over there. But we'll try and these will be our focal points for today. Try to get this stuff done. That way the floor is, for all intents and purposes, welded in and pretty well ready to go. Then we can shift gears and focus on doing the rocker panels, which this guy, well, it wasn't that bad, but it's kind of gotten destroyed as, I've been working on this thing. So gonna do both rocker panels, get those guys swapped out. Now I've never done rocker panels, so I don't know exactly what all is involved with that. It could be not too bad. It could be an absolute total nightmare. So we'll delve into that together. So, all right, let me get some stuff taken care of off camera, getting things prepped and ready, because that's just boring to watch. Let me get all that stuff ready, and I'll catch back up with y'all as soon as we're ready to start, squeezing this guy. All right, I got my holes drilled right there. So I was looking at this, kind of trying to figure out what I need to do. You always want to kind of think a few steps ahead so you don't work yourself into a corner, you know what I mean? I tend to do that a lot. Anyways, so I'm sitting here looking at this piece as I was taking it apart. So this is part of the cab. This piece here, you can see it kind of sandwiches in. That is part of the rocker panel. So good news there is I didn't screw up and get myself in a spot where I can't get the rocker panel replaced. The downside to that is I do have to pull the fenders. At the very least, I have to pull the fenders. So I may go ahead and just do that, because with the fenders pulled, it's a hell of a lot easier to get down in there without all this in my way. So I may go ahead and pull the fenders, and depending on what kind of wiring thing I got to do over there, because I don't think I have any wires here. Nothing really of any concern on this end, but my wiring harness does run along that fender, so I got to pull that fender off over there. You can see my wiring harness running along. It shouldn't be very bad to pull that wiring harness out. It's just kind of trapped in there with those little plastic things. Disconnect my marker lights and pull a significant amount of bolts out. I know there's a lot of bolts that hold these guys on. Front and back, if I remember correctly. So we got all these that run. You could not see that. We got all these running down. Man, I hope I don't have to pull the bumper or the grill and everything out. I can't remember if I have to pull the grill and if there's bolts on the front side. There probably are. I know they went just a smidge overboard on the number of bolts that they put to hold this thing together. So yeah, I think that's, God, man, I really hate that, but I think that's the path we're on at this point, is taking care of that. Ugh. Pulling the fenders. Damn it, man. I was really hoping to not do that. But yeah, I think they got to come off, so I might as well, and it gives me better access into down here on the floor where I'm needing to weld. So I'm like most folks, I don't really enjoy welding on my back. It's not a good time. So also another thing that I noticed, one of the times I was out here, a little more rust I found. Yeah, I know. Surprising, huh? So yeah, that's a hole. And this is thin. I literally opened that up with just a scraper. Got that hole there, got this hole here. This stuff is heavily pitted. Yeah, that's no bueno. Do I just call AMD and buy a whole freaking firewall and just be done with it? At this point, it seems like it would be less work. Jesus. All right. Luckily, I think I'd have to go out and look, but I think that other firewall I got, hey, look, I can see. I think the other firewall I have, I don't think it's rusted there. I know passenger side, it's not as bad as far as holes. It might have God, I'm going to go look. Yeah, so this side doesn't have any holes, other than the ones it's supposed to. But again, she's a little pitted up, a little rough. Feels pretty solid. I can get at it with a screwdriver and poke at it a little bit better, make sure if the other firewall's got, a good part for that side over on the driver's side, then I'll go ahead and, I guess, cut that out and put fresh metal in. Might as well. We're already here. But that would be much easier done with the fender out of the way, because then I could get, down into this area over there on the driver's side, obviously. But the other question I have is right down in here. Is that rusty? I know I've got some rust down in here on the passenger side, down between the fender and the cab. So, damn it, man. Try not to pull stuff apart, but got to pull stuff apart. So, I guess that's where we're at. Hey, I could at least fix my badges, because they're just kind of there. Maybe I'll order a new set. Wonder if I can order a set that's custom made. All right. Well, I mean, I guess I'm pulling the fenders. So let me get on that. See what else I got to do to get the fenders off. Really don't hope I don't have to pull the whole grill and everything out. That's such a pain. then that's also more parts to keep up with. You know, ugh. At least I shouldn't have to pull the bumper. Anyways, I'll be back. All right, well, that was just as terrible as I was assuming it would be. These bolts right here, they're, you have to get them from in here. Those are a pain. And then this little guy down here, you got to take the signal light out to get to this guy. But you don't have a whole lot of movement here because you've only got an opening about yay wide. And you got the fender coming over, rounding out the signal light frame, I guess you would say. So you don't have a whole lot of swing here. So those were a joy to get out. Maybe I ought to rename Steve to Snowball because it's just snowballing. So now I'm looking at it like, okay, well, it's only 2 bolts holding the the core support on. I have to pull the grill out, but it's only 2 bolts holding it to the chassis. So I can go ahead and get the core support off. I was toying with the thought of rewiring this guy and just getting a whole new harness for it. That may happen. I don't know. The only thing still tying me to the rest of the truck is right there. That is my, I think that one. Yeah, that's my tail lights, signals, all that fun stuff. That's that cable. But everything else, really I could cut this guy somewhere in this neighborhood. Leave that with the truck, and then take the whole wiring harness at the front with the core support. And I can pull the core support off. Of course, started thinking while I had the core support off, I was like, you know what? It wouldn't take much to cut these brackets down for the bumper and bring them in about 1 inch. That'd bring this in nice and tight here, and I'd bring it into within about a 1/2 inch of the fender. I did some measuring off camera. So that might happen. But again, the problem is where to put this. The fenders I just stuck up in the back of the Blazer. They seem to be okay sitting there. It has made the doorway or the entryway into the shop a little bit narrower because I couldn't push the one fender all the way back as far as I wanted. But I don't have a place to put this core support. Maybe I could go under the Blazer. Maybe, I don't know. It's kind of busy under there. But anyways, that's kind of where I'm at. Is I'm like, well, I'm into it this far. I might as well pull the damn core support off. Yeah, I definitely don't have room to store the entire front end, or what do people call it, the doghouse. I don't have room for all that in one giant piece. But broke down into smaller pieces, maybe I can make it work. So anyways, besides all that, let's look and see what I found. Where did my screwdriver go? There it is. So passenger side, I knew I had some rust between the door and the cab. And yeah, that's definitely there. This is seam seal. Let's get that out of there. So yeah, you can see I'm breaking through right there, right there. All right, and it just seems like it's just surface rust on down this way. So right here, this is a problem. I need to get the rest of that seam seal out. And then yeah, so that's a problem. That needs fixing. Not a huge problem. Not, you know, oh God, the truck's gonna fall apart, but that's something that needs to be addressed. This as well. I mean, realistically, I need to take and cut. I really need to cut up here and cut this piece out and clean up behind it, because I guarantee you it's rusty behind there, and then that's what's bubbling through. But, well, hey, look at there. We'll just do that. Yeah, that's not cool. Oh yeah, it's on even further too. Look at there, got another hole. So I'm in it this far, might as well. So let's look over here at the driver's side. Driver's side, I was expecting a little bit worse just because of this mess. It's not any worse than the other side, really. It's still got, you know, a hole here. I'd already scraped on this side a little bit. But it's definitely more solid up here. Nope, not there. So, yeah, got a hole there. Yeah. Yeah, so new hole there. And again, probably need to just cut a section of this out, probably come on up in here, find good metal, and, you know, do it up. Steve the snowball. We'll start doing that. So, yay. So excited about this. More rust. The good news is that's the rust. If we can get that handled, we'll be in good shape. So I'm probably going to need to take the doors off as well. Jesus, it never stops. So I'm definitely going to have to take the doors off. They got to come off. They got to go somewhere. I'll find a spot for them, I suppose. Do I have a hook? I might have a hook I can just hang them on. Do I have any open door space where I can hang them? Or wall space? I don't know. The doors got to come off. That way I can get in here a little bit better, a little bit easier, and I don't have to worry about cutting my door up. Plus, I've got to pull it off anyways when I go to do the rocker panel. And, oh yeah, driver's side door. I know there's some problems there. I don't know how well it'll translate the camera, if you can even see it. But you can see right in here, there's a stress fracture right in there. Yeah. Now look, more rust in the door. Yay. God. Just leave well enough alone, Matt. Nope, can't. I don't have to pull this core support off right now, and it'll just be in the way if I do. So I'm not going to worry about that. I will end up pulling the core support down, just get it off of here at some point. Don't know when, but right now it's also a decent shelf for holding some tools. So we'll leave the core support up for now. But this does open it up to where I can get in and out and monkey with the original plan, which is getting the freaking floor welded up. Squirrel! Squirrel! So, all right, I guess let me get a ratchet strap and strap this floor, try to pull it together. And then, you know, like I said, we've already drilled out all those they're little bitty spot welds, but I figure a lot of little ones should equal enough of one or two big ones. Yeah. So we'll see if we can't get this cab pulled back the way it needs to be, at least to get the weld done. And hey, maybe whenever it gets welded up and it decides to relax and pull back out, it'll straighten the floor up, or it should all work itself out. So, all right, let me work on that, and I'll be back. So I strung my ratchet strap. Basically just hooked it in right there on your fender hole. That drew it pretty close. It did end up having to get some clamps and get them clamped on there, tighten it down. So that way it's actually touching on both sides. Did the exact same thing over here on the passenger side. As you can tell, I got the welder out. So I was gonna go ahead and spot weld and get that in there. Let those guys cool down real good. so that they're definitely stuck. And then while they're cooling down, I was going to go in and get a bite to eat because it's almost 3 o'clock and I haven't eaten today. Getting a little hungry. So I'm going to get over here and do that real quick, and then we'll catch back up after I get some lunch and these spot welds cool off. All right, belly's full, and let the welds cool off. And yeah, you might notice the clamps, well, it's still on there / it's back on there. Popped the clamp off. It held for, I don't know, half a second, and then it split. So spot welds are not holding, and yeah, spot welds are not holding. So I'm going to do the next best thing. I'm just going to run a freaking bead down the edge. Just lock that sucker on there. If this thing ever has to be replaced, again, they'll just have to, somebody else have to deal with it because I ain't. But I'm just going to run a bead down the edge of it. That should lock it down on there. Maybe even come up on the bottom of it as well. That way, it's on there. And it ain't going nowhere. So, I guess get the welder back out and get to it. Alright, so that's stuck. That's holding very nicely. So we'll let this cool down. This is pretty doggone hot. I mean, yeah, I got that whole panel's real hot. Now it is pulled it in, but that's nothing a body hammer can't take care of. Knock it, try to straighten this guy back up a little bit. So that's not a big deal there. The other side was holding just fine as well. Yeah, it's a mix of decent welds and boogers, but some of them are kind of booger and gorilla. So, they ought to hold just fine. So that's welded. That's welded over there. We're good to go here. I can actually, let me think. Yeah. That should allow me to take the weight off the strap that's holding the body up. So I can let that go if I want. And then that'll rest all the weight of the truck on the body, or the cab on the body here, on the floor. Because it's attached in the back and now it's attached in the front. So that ought to hold pretty well. I may go ahead and just leave it up like that for now until we get the cab corners sorted out, or the rocker panels. Once we get the rockers sorted out, because then that'll also tie in more of the floor to holding the shape of the truck. So, yeah, so it should be good for now, but we'll leave it strapped up for now, and we'll work on these rockers. Probably not next. Probably work on my patch panel that I need to do, that I'm putting off doing on the driver's side. Need to work on that as I sit here and pick more rust off the passenger door, because yeah, she's got some rust. Everything's got some rust. Doggone. Anyways, all right. I guess I'm gonna get to cutting and hacking and slashing on that piece over there that I need to work on for the driver's side, get that part done. And then we'll pick back up on, I guess, pulling a freaking door off. Ugh. Brother, ugh.
Brother, ugh.
Pull the door off so we can start doing rocker panels. Yay. So I'm getting ready to pull the passenger side door off. I figure do the work over here as far as the first time doing a rocker panel, because I got more room here than I do on the other side. So I went ahead and I pulled the inside bolt out of this top bracket, or the top hinge, and of the bottom hinge as well, because I can't get to those out here. But the rest of them I can get to right out here, so I don't have to worry about it. Another thing I did, which might make more sense looking at the inside of the door, I took a Sharpie and just outlined the top and around the side, and then the top and around the side of that guy. So that way, whenever I go to lining the door back up, it ought to line up just fine, or at least get me pretty doggone close to where it needs to be. So that way, this is where it was. The door seems to sit just fine right here. The body line actually matches up pretty well. It's sagging a little bit, but that's not due to the hinges. That's probably the bushings. Because I can put that on my list to do too, because he probably needs them. So it probably needs new door pin bushings and so much snowball. But anyways, I can go ahead and pull these guys all out with the door closed. So that way I don't need a second body. I just have it latched. I'll probably end up pulling the bottom ones out first and then working my way up and getting this top one last. That way the front of the door is going to want to slide down. But that way I can already be kind of up here and prepared and ready. And then when it's time to move the door, I just open the latch, pick it up, and I can move the door somewhere. Maybe I ought to figure out where I'm putting it first. Duh. So let me figure. I think I'm just going to stick it over here and land it up against the side of the truck. I'm running out of places. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Anyways, all right, let me get this door pulled off, and then we'll see what all we're getting into on a rocker panel replacement. Ugh. All right, that worked out really, really well with the door, getting that guy off of there. So I need to pull this lower door hinge off completely. Also, in case you was wondering about the bushings, yeah, the bottom bushing is shot, and then that got shot. That should not have a bunch of wiggle room in it. So I guess, sensuous things, since we're in here, I'll go ahead and get me a set of these ordered and get some new bushings for the hinge pins. Never ends with this thing, I tell you what. So I do need to kind of mark where the hinge lives, because this guy's going to want to, it's got a little, there's not a ton of movement here, but there's a little bit. So usually I would use a Sharpie and mark it, but yeah, there's just a lot of rust here. So I think we're just going to get a can of spray paint, and I'm going to shoot some, blow some air through here, knock the loose crap out. And then I'm just going to hit this with a little shot of spray paint, top and bottom. And hopefully that'll get us kind of in the ballpark of where we need to be on this guy. So let me do that, and we'll jump right back in. Gave this guy a little shot of black all the way around. So don't worry, little fella. Don't be sad. I'll put you to work. And we'll just set that over there. All right, so yeah, unfortunately, I'm probably going to lose my mark with the paint, because I got to clean this rust up. I'm going to have to pull this hinge off as well, do it, really get this stuff protected. I mean, it's not bad right now, but it's getting kind of crusty. So we've got, I guess I need to cut this stupid thing off because I'm not going to be able to set this up here if this is in the way. All right, so what we need to do now is kind of figure out whereabouts we're going to cut. I mean, up here we're okay. So I mean, I could cut it along this line and bring it on back and around to inside the door jamb. The back side of this guy is actually not in bad shape. It's a little rough down here at the bottom. So we really just need to set our new panel right over top to figure out where everything's going to go and how it's all going to lay out. So I can't do that with my little piece of angle iron here. So I got to cut this guy off. Luckily he's just held on with some tacks. So I'll cut that guy off. I got to get this little plug out. There's a door stop, a little rubber door stop back here. Don't know if y'all can see that before. There is a little rubber door stop back here. I don't know the best way to pull it out. I just grabbed some pliers and yanked and broke it. So I'll have to order a new, pair of door stops because I'm probably gonna have the same problem over there. So yeah, so we just got to get the new panel up here, figure out where all we're going to cut, maybe even run a couple sheet metal screws in and hold it in place, and then we can come back and just cut both pieces at the same time. I don't feel as though I need to take it all the way up into here. It's still, viable metal up in here, but coming along, say down here at the bottom, again, don't know if y'all can see what I'm pointing at. Down here, it's a little, jagged and nasty, and that's my bad. But I could go a little north of that and just kind of cut it and take it out from there. Again, having never done rockers, I'm not sure of the best course of action here. There's a whole lot of things to consider. So I know I've got back here towards the back of the cab, it feels like there might be some Bondo back here. I could flake that up if I want. It looks like there's Bondo. I don't know how committed I am to back there. And it could be that I could set that guy in. I don't know. I don't know. What I'm trying to tell you here, folks, is I don't freaking know. And it feels like the way it lays is the cab corner sits on top of the rocker panel. I don't know. We're going to figure this out, though. All right, so with that piece, my bracket that was just kind of strengthening this very thin and holy piece of metal here. With that out of the way, I can't get back up in here. That thing has a lip that goes way back up in here. And I can't get it to, this is in the way. So it needs to slide back and behind that and up. So I can't do that. And then of course, my flange back here, you can kind of see, you can kind of see it overlaps onto the cab corner pretty well. So that part I'm not sure about. I don't know. I mean, it is just metal, but I don't know. I just, I'm leery about just hacking and slashing on the outside of the body. Floor pans, whatever. Inside the area where you can't really see, whatever. Outside body, yeah, I'm a little cautious. So, it looks like I can get my cart to actually roll with me here. Yeah, there's definitely some Bondo here. You can see it right there. So I guess I can get a screwdriver and pry that off. I don't think I have one handy. Oh yeah, that's a fair amount of Bondo. Good times. So it isn't the entire cab corner, thank God. It's just a small section, which that's easy enough to fix without having to get into, there's metal, there's metal. So we'll probably just cut a little square out and just patch that. What I don't want to do is get an entire piece, you know, and have to pull the bed, you know, and basically disassemble the whole damn truck when I'm trying to avoid that. But I can get a small piece and cut it in, and that should be fine. And I've actually got some cab corners. I can't remember if the guy I bought the floor from gave them to me or if I bought it from my buddy down the road. I don't know. I've got some cab corners though. So I can cut this out and figure out where I need it off of the other piece and use the actual patch panel so I have the right curve and all that fun stuff. So I'm going to sit here and kind of ruminate on this for a little bit and figure out what I think might be the best course of action here. I don't need the entire piece, and I don't know if people sometimes don't realize that it's a patch panel. It's oversized just in case you need more of, you know, what it is. So you can cut them down to whatever you need. Case in point, you know, doing just basically what, 3/4 of the floor, you know, 75% of the floor, like that's 3/4, 66% of the of the floor. I am not good at math. So I mean, I can use whatever part of this patch panel that I want. I don't have to use the whole thing. I don't know exactly where I'm going to cut just yet. I think right now in my mind, I can cut just below the spot weld, come down below that spot and just take it on down here to the corner. And then I can just take this on down back here up underneath on the rocker. And because here's my seam and that's where my overlap is. So I can go ahead and cut this out up to this point and then take it on an angle back to here. And then up here, I'm thinking I'll come across here and come on across down and through here, because this is all fine. It's a little rusty, yes, but it's fine. And again, here's a tack or a spot weld, so I could come in down low and come across and take out where I've got this big boogered out spot. This piece is just all sorts of jacked up, so I can replace basically from, you know, here down, and then all the way across. So I think that's where I'm at. But let me hem and haw on it for a few, and I'll get right back at you. All right, so I think I'm gonna go with my plan. Went ahead and laid out some tape lines. Got to thinking about it. I was just like, well, if I do it this way, I can take the piece that I cut out and I can lay it in with my new piece and mark it up and then cut the new piece with a little bit of, you know, just a little bit of extra room on it. That way, you know, it's easier to take metal off than it is to put metal on. So cut a little wide on both ends and use this guy as kind of my template to trim this guy down to where he kind of needs to be and at least get him pretty close. So I laid out my tape line, basically coming from here all the way back to this corner. From there, I'm just gonna follow that seam down. Here's a little weird because you got, you know, compound curves and all that other fun stuff. So again, I'm taking it off of that seam right here and just coming around and taking that out. So I'm pretty confident in this. Question mark. So it should be fine. It is just metal. So we're minus one rocker. That's a good time. So I don't recall if this was actually welded together or not. Maybe I can look at the other side and see. If it's supposed to be welded together, I've got a little bit of a mismeasurement there. I want to say this is not supposed to be welded together, but I could be wrong. I don't know. This guy's, a little bit of surface rust on it. There's some seam seals still stuck on here. So I'll clean that mess up. We'll get this surface rust taken care of. Get that cleaned up. I still got to clean up my edges because they are razor sharp. I've already cut myself a couple times. And a couple little slivers of metal stuck in me. So I do need to clean this edge up a little bit better. I didn't quite get all the way into the into this corner, so there's a little bit here that needs to come off again, but no big deal there. Up here did exactly what I was hoping, which is gave me a fairly straight line, straight relative when it comes to this. But it's a relatively straight line going across there. It opens out right up, so that way I can get the new piece ready to go. Speaking of the new piece, I have that sitting in my lap along with the old piece to kind of show you what I was thinking about earlier. So I just set the old piece down inside the new piece, and while it doesn't completely line up, you can tell by the hole there. You can tell by the hole there. Actually, that one doesn't look too bad, but it doesn't completely line up. This guy's a little tweaked and it's a little beat. So not quite right, but it's close enough. But yeah, I can just lay it down in here, or I can lay it on the outside edge of it, and get it on this side of it maybe, and then I can make my cut. So what I'll end up probably doing is I'll probably add a 1/2 inch or better on this side of it and cut me a little bit taller piece out right here. Same thing back over here. Add about a 1/2 inch to it and cut that guy out. That way I've got a little bit of room a little bit of wiggle room, so to speak. If I screw something up or I make a big boo-boo, I've got a little bit of wiggle room to kind of, get around that. I could also take, with that kind of cut a little big, I could always take and do the good old fashioned cut and butt, get them set up here, screw them down, get it in place, and go ahead and make the cut again with the overlap, and that way I've got a nice clean edge all the way around. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at this point. So I guess I'm gonna get to cutting on this, and we'll see about getting this guy fit. I don't know, grammar things. We'll get this guy set in place and kind of make a little bit more judgment call from there once we kind of get this guy close to where he needs to be. So, all right, back to cutting. Well, the new rocker's in. Just kidding. It's mocked. Oh, the new rocker's in. So I've got it in there, kinda-ish. There's a slight overlap over here and a slight overlap over here, which is perfect. This one, I got that one a little tight. Probably only about a 1/4 inch of overlap. This guy was closer to the 1/2 inch. Maybe he's a little bit more, maybe 3/8, but or a little less than a 1/2 inch, maybe 7/16, 3/8, somewhere in that neighborhood. But that lines up pretty nice. Everything seems to fit pretty good. I think right now what we're going to do is I have trimmed and cut and worked and got this guy to where it's at least somewhat mocked up. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut her down there for the night. It's like 7:30, almost 8 o'clock. Here it is Sunday night. I still got a boatload of editing to do from pretty much all today. So I figure I can go inside, get my dinner cooking, get some editing done tonight, and then come back out here tomorrow morning and get back on this thing fresh and at least get this passenger side, get this guy in and get him at least tacked in and all that good stuff before we wrap up the video. So we're getting close. We're getting real close. Actually, it'll be kind of nice to get the driver's side cut out. It just hit me. Once I cut out the driver's side rocker panel, I still haven't done this patch on the driver's side, but it'll all be right there. I can do it right here, and I'll have to lay up underneath it and weld it up. That's fantastic. If I had thought about that before, I would have waited on doing that. Whatever. You live, you learn. Whatever, So yeah, so I'm going to shut her down there for the night. And I will come back out tomorrow. we'll finish a little bit of the final fitment and getting this guy ready to go. And then we'll get this dude at least tacked in place and have him pretty well ready to go for buttoning up the floor part. There's still some holes that need to be drilled in the floor. I say the floor, the inner rocker. Need to drill a bunch of holes along the bottom edge here. That way it will sit inside this lip and I can get it spot welded in. That'll add more rigidity and more strength to the cab. So that's, you know, on the old one, you can kind of see all the spot welds running down there. So we'll get that guy, you know, I'll get those drilled out. Probably do that before I put the friggin' rocker panel back on. But we'll get those holes drilled out and have that guy ready for a boatload of spots. And yeah, it's moving right along, getting stuff done. All right, I'm gonna go get me some grub and do some editing, and we will see you fine folks in the morning. Good morning, folks. So already been out here, been working on this thing, doing stuff, you know, that's just, it's not really that interesting. Drilling holes, filling in some gaps, you know, welding up some stuff. But I've got the new patch panel mocked up pretty doggone well, I think. You know, there is a little bit of an overlap, but this is, you know, how she wants to sit. Everything seems to fit pretty good. You know, slight miscut here. No big deal. That's behind. I can do something there. You know, once it comes down to fixing this corner here, that I may be able to fix all this all at one time. I'm not sure. This is new to me. So yeah, I got a little bit of a gap there. You know, worst case, I can take a little metal, stick it in there as a filler, and, you know, stitch it back up. It'll be fine. Yeah, so we're kind of at a spot now where I'm not sure exactly the path to go here. My thought is take the grinding wheel, you know, the cutoff wheel, and you know, start hacking, you know, literally right off of this line, and that'll give me a good, you know, that'll give me a good edge all the way around. Same thing over here. I could do the exact same thing here and give me a good edge. The other side of me is like, well, I could just take a Sharpie, mark this with a Sharpie, and just cut on this bottom side of that line. You know, because the thickness of this guy should make my gap just about right. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. But yeah, I got it mocked up again, a little bit better fitting this time. Shaved a little bit off back here because I was not wanting to let this thing set in like it should. Up here I didn't do any trimming or anything. I just got it up on there, got it sucked in nice and tight. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that part. I did take the inner rocker, which is also part of the floor. Finished welding a couple spots that I couldn't get to with the old rocker in place. Got those spots finished welding up. Got them cleaned up nice and smooth. Went ahead and drilled my spot weld holes all the way along the bottom. I figure I'll do the spot welds. The holes I drilled are on the inner rocker. That way the outer rocker stays nice and clean. It doesn't have all the little divots in it like this old one had on it. So I figured it'll look a little bit nicer. Not that anybody's going to see it, but you know, I'll know. So for now, I've got this thing kind of where it needs to be. I'm going to sit here and think about this for a few minutes and figure out exactly how I want to go about cutting this, just to get that last little trim in. So once I get that figured out, I'll turn the camera back on and we'll get to cutting, fitting, and potentially tacking this guy in. So you might be able to tell I just elected to use a Sharpie and mark it out and just cut on the bottom side of the Sharpie mark to make sure I got it, you know, pretty close. So I've got this side turned out pretty good. There's a couple little, you know, there's going to be some differences in the stampings here, but this is pretty good. It's pretty tight. There's going to be a little bit of work. Like I got a ledge here. This is a little tight, so I'm going to need to grind that down a little bit. Still a little tight here. I got a ledge up here. This stuff should be fine. Back here, this is where it's really, really kind of rough. You can really see the differences in the tooling. You know, we're a little too sharp of an angle here, so it doesn't meet up there. You know, here it's out a little bit, and it's not because this guy's not back far enough. He's back where he should be. It's just, like I said, differences in the tooling. So with that, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to tack this guy in just yet. There's this just getting this thing fit and making sure the fitment's right. That could almost be a whole episode on its own. Because what I'm going to end up having to do, I think, is get this guy tacked in place. So he's nice and, you know, he's held in. Find a good spot. You know, like here would be a pretty good spot. I might actually have to open this up just a smidge more, but that's fine. But I could tack it here, and then I can get my hammer out, and I can work this to bend it down a little bit to meet up with the rest of the truck. Get that guy where he needs to live. Once I got that in place, I can tack that there, and then I can come out here and start working this side of it. You know, so there's some body work and some metal work to do on this back side of this guy. The front side, that looks pretty good. I mean, there's a couple, like I said, there's a couple little ramps. You know, like here, there's a difference. Up front, up here is a little difference. But for the most part, this guy lines up pretty good. A little more clearance needed in this corner, and that could be affecting, you know, the way some of it's wanting to sit. Same thing back here. But like I said, this is going to take a hot minute to get this guy tacked in. I'm probably going to spend the better part of a day doing nothing but working on just getting this rocker fit. Plus, I've still got to do on the back side of this. Here, let's pull the vice grips off. But yeah, here on the back side, I've still got, figure out where to put that. I still got to come back, like I cut this guy, so I need to run a little, you know, couple little welds down here just to clean this back up. This guy's got some rust and crap on it, and it's bare metal, so I need to be able to seal all this. I still got to seal all this stuff, you know, get some primer on it, get some paint on it. You know, just get this section done, because once I put this rocker on, this is not accessible. This is something that's, you know, not easily accessible. So once I get the outside rocker on, I want to make sure I'm done in here. And that's, you know, like I said, there's still a little bit of work left to do here. Most of the stuff's handled. Most of it's taken care of. It's not the prettiest work. Like back here's really pretty ugly, but it's covered up by the rocker panel, so I'm not worried about it. Just going to get in here, you know, clean this rust off, clean off this little bit of seam seal that's still kind of hanging around. Weld that guy up and give this guy a good scuff, a little shot of primer, and then hit it with some paint. That way this should be good. I don't have to worry about this guy rusting for a very long time. So I think with that, I'm going to go ahead and close her out. Because like I said, I'm probably going to spend better part of a day doing nothing but getting this rocker panel fit on here, just to make sure it's right. I don't want a rocker panel on here that looks, you know, I want somebody to open up a door and go, good God, that looks rough. You know, I want them to be like, it might have had a rocker panel replacement. I'm not sure. So I guess that'll take care of it for this week. I do appreciate y'all guys watching. If y'all guys want to follow me on social media, that information is listed down in the description. If you want to leave me a comment or a question or concern or suggestion or whatever, throw down there in the comments. I'll read through them all. If you like the video, be sure and hit that like button. And if you've made it this far and you have not subscribed, what are you waiting on? Just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And all that does is help the channel grow and keeps me motivated to do this type of crap. Because trust me, I don't really enjoy it. Why is it you have to do the stuff you don't enjoy? Oh well, once it's done, it's done. So all right, I do appreciate y'all guys, and just remember, folks, It ain't got it ain't got to be perfect, not by any stretch. It's good enough, and well, Steve is all sorts of full of good enough. So we will see y'all guys next time.